Now an international hip-hop star, 50 Cent's life has become one of legend.
Because once niggas know your background, and you really do half of the things you rap about, because half of these rappers is liars.
He is now established as a global music icon.
50 Cent is giving the audience something that they can feel. I think there's been a lot of ghetto, gangster posturing in hip-hop as of late.
50 Cent has sold millions of records, graced the covers of Vibe magazine and Rolling Stone, and has been played non-stop on radio and TV.
See, like in New York, he was already popular because he was a hustler, but when he started rapping, they embraced him even more.
I think 50 is as authentic as they come.
He's a bona fide street gangster.
The Dr. Dre and Eminem protege cannot escape the public eye.
95% of these rappers is liars, Dobby. So once people know your background and they believe you, that's when they embrace you, you know what I mean?
The story of his success is a classic rags to riches tale.
It's somebody who lived what they're talking about. Maybe not all of it, but enough to convince the audience that it should be coming out of his mouth.
One that takes many twists and turns.
People get shot one time and die though, you know, like, so you hit 9 times, you like, damn.
It is a story of friendships won and lost.
He has a whole new story. Like, a lot of rappers don't have a story with him. He has a whole story that he brings. It's like a whole movie with him.
He was one of the biggest, youngest drug dealers at that time. From 94, 95, he's one of the biggest, youngest drug dealers. At that time, he was like 19.
Ultimately, it is a tale of triumph over adversity.
He was out here with us. So it's like when you see somebody out here with you every day, when you see it for yourself firsthand, then you know what I'm saying, in a way it's like it inspires you.
He's authentic to people. The stuff he's talking about that's coming out of his mouth, his struggle, his pain, is authentic.
But who is the real 50 Cent? And what has made him so popular?
Somebody who came to hip-hop the right time, when everybody else was getting a little bit sleepy.
Everybody is like gripping, they want the realness so bad. Whatever's so real, well, the realer it is, the better. So when 50 Cent came out, it was like the perfect formula.
Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, was born on the 6th of July 1976 in Queens, New York. His mother, Sabrina Jackson, was only 15 years old when she gave birth to him. The young Curtis grew up in the notorious area of South Jamaica, Queens. It was a rough neighbourhood, a proving ground for all hustlers, dealers and bad boys. Young, black and poor, his future looked bleak.
This is my block right here. You know what I'm saying? I done did everything here. This 50 block as well. This where 50 done did all his dirt from. This where he came from right here. The big buildings, the little kids. This is where we from right here. This is ours. This is where G-Unit started right here on this concrete right here.
But right now where we standing at, we in a court where gangsters was getting real money, period. This is the hood.
All right, you on Guy Brew on 109th Avenue. Behind me is 40 projects. In front of me, that's where you're gonna get killed if you don't get out of here by 5 o'clock. But well, let's talk about it.
If you wanted to make it on the streets, you started out by selling crack cocaine in Jamaica, where life was cheap and business was ruthless.
Like there's a lot of that going on, drug dealing, dope dealing, shootouts every other night. But this is where we live, we can't escape that. Where we gonna go? We got no finances, so we gotta stay here. You either adapt it or get caught up in it.
People die here, all right? This is like any other ghetto in any other town in New York. If you don't have yourself together, you can get murdered. I mean, you know, you got people like 50 Cent who happen to have come in this neighborhood and he been through the trials and tribulations and he made it out. Whether he comes back, that's on him.
The crack epidemic in South Jamaica exploded during the early 80s, and its stench had found its way into the very grain of the culture.
Right now where we stand, and this is the gutter where, you know what I'm saying, ain't no security watching you when you going to park your cars. You know what I'm saying? They got security at every section, you know, they had that for years. It's 2004, we just got cameras around here. Nigga selling crack, nigga getting indicted, man. You gotta be straight about what you're doing.
I've heard in his case, you know, his mother was a drug dealer and that's how he got into the drug game. But all in all, I think that he survived it. I know that was a hard task for him.
Curtis was only 8 years old when his 23-year-old mother was murdered in her own apartment. Sabrina had allegedly brought a person back to her home who, after slipping a drug into her drink, left her unconscious, closed all the windows, turned the gas on, and left her to die. Her killer was never found. Curtis went to live with his grandparents. They raised him as best they could, but it was hard. They were old, and by now Curtis was under a different type of influence. The streets were intent on claiming him as one of their own.
But this kid has had a hard life. His mother was in the drug game, and she died because of it. And, you know, the drug game was all around him, all over the place.
And his grandparents, they old. You know, grandparents ain't going, they struggling to take care of mortgage for the crib. So, you know, he had to sling crack or do what he had to do.
Curtis attended the nearby Andrew Jackson High School. The school was underfunded and overpopulated, later closing down and changing its name. At 12 years old, Curtis was arrested for the first time for unlawful possession of a firearm and crack cocaine. It would become the first of many convictions.
In high school, he was like in the 9th grade, and he got caught through the metal detectors. But he was young, so they suspended him from school and they had to release him. So, you know, once you're a certain age, you can't go to jail. Got caught with cracks in the school. But he was really doing that, man.
At 13 years old, Curtis took up boxing. He found he had a natural ability for the sport and soon gained a fierce reputation as someone who could end arguments with the power of his fists.
Like 50 been boxing since he was like 13. That's why he had advantage on everybody in the hood, because he was always a bigger dude and he could fight. Like, yeah, he broke a lot of people's jaws in the hood too. I ain't gonna lie, sit up here talk bad about him. He did that. You know what I mean? He still boxed to this day.
And he would punch the shit out you, like I said. He would knock you out. Like, hand to hand, you wasn't gonna see him. He can fight.
By the time he was 19, Curtis was making $5,000 a day from selling crack and heroin, and drove both a Land Cruiser and a luxury Mercedes-Benz 400 SE.
And he had a Benz, you feel me? 50 had a Benz. Before this rap shit, he had a Benz, man. He was getting paper, man. You feel me? And we used to sit on the block and talk, man. You know what I'm saying? But, hey, he did it.
You could tell, man, you 19 and you got a Benz, a SE 400. You that nigga, hell yeah, you successful. I know niggas who been slinging crack 10 years. Don't got a bike, a pedal bike, man. So for you to do that, and you 19 at that time, you got a Benz, you got a Land Cruiser, you got street bikes, all kinds of shit. He was one of the biggest, youngest drug dealers at that time.
This harsh environment moulded the young Curtis into a tough and ruthless youth who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. He would use his presence, reputation and intelligence to influence people into helping him get what he wanted.
Oh yeah, he'll manipulate you. Like, if he see that you weak, you know what I'm saying? If he see that you weak, he gon' whatever you weak at, he gonna take it to his advantage and use you for what he can use you with. I mean, he was like, you know, he was calm most of the time because he was like one of those dudes that you ain't know what he was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? He could be talking to you 1 minute and you don't know you got a problem and you got a problem with him. You know what I'm saying? And then the next second later, you know what I'm saying, he snuffed you or something, you know what I'm saying? He was just one